New England fallen, hic ubi nocturna numa constituat amica nunc sacri fontis nemus et delubra lacantur Judais quorum Hoffinus fanunique supelex omnis enim populo mercedem pendere jassa est arbor et ejectis mendicat silva Comenis. Juvenal 3:12-16. When long ago America was young and held by yeomen from Britannia sprung, New England was with hardy rustics filled. Green were her fields and diligently tilled. My grandsire John beside a rocky hill, mid pastures watered by a sparkling rill, erected firm his unpretentious cot, sunk deep his well, laid out his garden plot, build sheds for poultry, hives for honey bees, barns for his cattle, cleared the land of trees, the meadows wide with walls he fenced around, builded of stones digged from the rocky ground. From dawn to darkness reached his daily toil. Each spring with seed he sowed the fertile soil, and in the heat of each midsummer day, with sharpened scythe he mowed the leaning hay. 'Neath harvest moon he reaped the ripening crop. In winter's blast his axe was heard to chop the wind-swayed oaks and maples of the wood that on his hillside slopes majestic stood, and grassy pastures teeming with rich loam. His brawny kine were wont to feed and roam. Thus did he live and called his humble acres home. The wooded farmhouse, painted snowy white, had in it more of broadness than of height. A sloping roof its safe protection lent. In vain the storms outside their fury spent. Above the roof, the stone-built chimney towered, through which the smoke and inky torrents poured. Around the door the clinging ivy twined, the sunny garden brilliant flowers confined. The rooms within were scrubbed until they shone by the good wife of honest Farmer John. Beside the fire at night the rustic sat, and listened to the singing of his cat, or read the scriptures to his wife and son, or through the window watched the rising moon. His child by maxims wise and good was reared, virtue he loved, immortal God he feared. The vice and folly of the world he spurned, but at the district school true wisdom learned. From his kind master, who with precepts sage refined and shaped the growth of tender age, with no low trade his pliant mind was filled, nor was his wit by frivolous notions killed. Few were his studies, but with zeal pursued. With solid learning was the youth imbued. His hours of leisure were discreetly spent, in harmless joys and sports he lived content. Sturdy he grew by nature's certain law. No towns he knew, nor crowded streets he saw. Each Sunday in his stout, capacious chaise, John drove to meeting, God on high to praise. New-shaved and in the finest of his coats, the psalms he sang with cheerful ringing notes. With mind devout his soul he sought to save, whilst liberal offerings to the church he gave. With ear attentive he the sermon heard, the parson's counsel, and the holy word. Blessed was that parson, noblest of mankind, true his belief, exalted was his mind. Sinners he saved and all creation loved. By simple words his flock to tears he moved. Inspired he preached, and seraphim above approved. The farmer's needs were few and well supplied by laden ships that rolled upon the tide, from distant strands by favoring zephyrs blown, up to the wharves that graced each seaport town. On windswept docks the Yankees wondering viewed the swarthy sailors, freaks of alien blood. They little feared as they enjoyed the breeze, their realm would soon be filled by such as these. Unwarned they were, their ignorance was bliss. They knew not how their land should go amiss. Would that I might possess such a nescience as this. Off to the village drove good Farmer John, to stock his larder and supply his barn. Mid shady streets he sought the village store, and hailed the rustics cluttered round the door. He bought with wisdom and with honest heart. He'd trade in horses at the rural mart. Then when night came, toward home John's wain inclined, his new-bought nag a-trotting on behind. And as he rode with patriotic pride, in sunset's glow he viewed the countryside. The planted fields spread out before his gaze, the steeple pierced the gathering evening haze, whilst here and there a tidy farmhouse shewed its white expanse beside the darkening road. Twixt the trees a wandering lane he saw, stone were its walls and mossy was its floor. The neighbors' boys addressed him through the gloom, as with their dongs they drove the cattle home. Beside the brooklet stood the water mill. The day's work done, its ponderous wheel was still. Peace hovered over each vale and gently rolling hill. Agrestic bliss, why canst thou not remain? Why must the years bring evil in their train? Why have the rustics' sons forsaken home, and dismal towns and distant lands to roam? Why have they left the meadows of their birth, quit rural ease for urban want and dearth? Why are base foreign boors allowed to dwell amongst the hills where Saxon greatness fell, live their own lives themselves in filth degrade, as monkeys haunt a palace long decayed? Less fresh and green seem now to New England's hills. The air is tainted by the smoke of mills. The tottering houses, scarcely held erect, shake in the wind and crumble from neglect, though in a few some wretched aliens dwell, most hideous squalor and repulsive smell. The empty church, with mouldering rot decays, the lofty steeple on its fastening sways. Within its grass-grown yard in peaceful sleep, the parson lies, but none remain to weep. The village rings with ribald foreign cries around the wine shops, loaf with bleary eyes. A vicious crew that mock the name of man, yet dare to call themselves American. New England ships no longer ride the sea. Once prosperous ports are sunk in poverty. The rotting wharves as ruins tell the tale of days when Yankees man the swelling sail. The Indies yield no more their cargoes rare. The sooty mills New England's present care. The noisy mill by foreign peasants run supplants the glorious shipping that hath gone, and in arid fields the kind no longer low. The soil knows not the furrow of the plough. The rolling meadows all neglected lie, flecked here and there by some foul alien sty. The school no more contains the busy class. The walls are down, the ruins choked with grass. Within the gate-posts swallows built their nest. Upon the hill the gentle master rests. The mossy lane with briars is o'ergrown. The boundary walls are shapeless heaps of stone, and through the morning trees the winds in sorrow moan. Whence comes this devastation of the land, this awful blow of the Almighty's hand? Where is New England that our fathers knew? Where pious men and rugged virtue grew, where law and order ruled the rustic realm, and honor stood unconquered at the helm, gone with the noble race that gave it life, and given o'er to foreign crime and strife. The Saxon yeoman made New England great, and when he leaves it to foul fate. No baser tribe can take his honored place, and with like virtues old England grace. This power lies locked within the noble British race. Now, without the same theology, we can save face. Morality for itself, no matter what culture or material, it has a natural grace.